Welcome to Get Angels Fly, Tarot, and more. My name is Nancy, and I'm here to have an Aquarius rant. I do believe this is my first Aquarius rant for the year of 2022. For this rant, I need to offer some disclaimers. The first and foremost is that the content of this live stream is X-rated or rated X. It's for mature audiences only. In this video, I will be talking about drugs. They're dragging us to hell. And they're focusing, first and foremost, on our youth, on our children, and on our young adults. I've seen it for myself. I'm praying for us. I'm praying for us. As mentioned, this is an Aquarius rant. And the contents of this video is very, very disturbing. I've realized that I had ended last year of 2021 and began this year of 2022 with real negative energy. I have been talking to myself about that and seeing if our reality really warrants me being so negative. And all I can see, comprehend, perceive is that it does warrant me being as negative as I have been, as I will be in this video, and how much I might continue to be, negative or speaking on negative things um, for a while probably. But I want to be honest with you about what I'm witnessing. If you follow me, you may very well have noticed or heard. I didn't check my sound. That's important. Let me sound check. Notice or heard. I didn't check my sound. I hope. Matter of fact, I'm gonna move up a little closer because I don't know why I can't get the sound to be no better. More close and personal. I don't know why I can't get the sound to be any better, but I've been trying. Can't get it to go be any better. I must say, continue with the disclaimer that it is pretty early when I'm making this video. My heart is heavy, and so most folks don't want to start off their day with something heavy and negative. So I suggest that if you just can't start your day off with something heavy and negative, to not view this video, but to maybe come back at a later time when you are of sound heart and can really cope with, the realities, reality that's in our world. Before I begin, I like to say the content of this video focus on the demographic area or region of the United States. I had in times past, maybe I'm gonna say three years ago, noticed that an agenda was being played out, and I spoke on it a little bit. I wasn't quite sure that it was an agenda. Now I'm 100% positive. I'm 100% positive that it's a full-blown agenda being played out at this time, and it's being played out in the United States, and it is against the people with a primary focus on the youths, the children, and the young adults. It's so sad. I don't want this Aquarius rant to be long because I feel pretty ill right now. I feel ill because I guess I'm an empath, and I have been emotionally disturbed by what I witnessed last night. In times past, I've come here on YouTube and I've said, hey y'all, I admit I'm shook, or there's some BS. I done said different things like that in different videos and live streams, and I said, y'all, I see something coming, but I ain't sure. I done talked about what I thought I was perceiving was coming, but I didn't keep going into it in detail because I wasn't sure. Last night, I got a whole bunch of evidence that what I saw, a couple of years ago and have been intermediately speaking about is here. So let me tell you what happened last night. I'll try to be as transparent as my life allows me to be. Anywho, if you follow me, you know I live in Michigan. I actually live in Detroit, Michigan. Last night, my friend invited me to come sit with them at their place of employment. My friend, he works at a gas station. So I'm sitting and we laughing and talking throughout the time period I'm there. And I witnessed at least 3 disturbing scenarios that really shook me up. The last one mostly. I have to reiterate that the contents in this video is rated like X or for mature audiences only. Actually, spiritually strong people only. Anywho, um, anywho, while I was visiting, one of the people in the neighborhood or community came through, and this person is known to be a drug addict, a crackhead. I'm gonna say CH for now on, to try to be a little more socially correct, at least community correct for YouTube. So they are CH, and this person looks like, I guess they're in their mid to late 50s or late 50s to early 60s. So most likely that this guy that I'm speaking of, originally became a CH during the first wave of uh, if I say the word too many times, I think they will shadow ban me as they usually do. So rather than saying, I'm gonna just say rock. But when I say rock, so I'm gonna make a coding system here, right now. Please ride the wave with me, if you will. This is an Aquarius rant. I am going somewhere, but I can do it in any order in which I choose to do along the way, and show my emotions freely, taking my vices and all those type of things. So here's the coding system. I might add some along the way, but just to get started, I am talking about drugs today, and I'm talking about primarily crack. So when I speak about crack, I'm gonna just use rock. This is some heavy stuff today. I'm showing you something. I'm taking you somewhere. If you wouldn't have ride the wave with me, I'm praying for us. Yes, I am. Us, me too. I'm praying for everybody. It's those, especially in the United States. Anywho, when it comes to the drug crack, I'll use just rock. When it comes to crackhead, I'm gonna just use CH. Okay. So last night, this gentleman comes in. This CH comes in. Older gentleman, mid 50s to early 60s. Most likely, he got addicted or introduced to the drug in his first wave, which was in the 1980s, mid 1980s or so. I'm only assuming based on his age and his behavior. So, he's someone that we see normally. But what was heartbreaking was to see this gentleman accompanied with a young man. The young man age was between 20 and early, I don't even think he was out of 20s, early 30s. Now, this older gentleman has, and most people that are on rock have a certain behavior. I've talked about the spirits that dwell within people or that come cohabitate within people. I've talked about the rock and how it invites particular spirits to dwell within the person. And so, what am I saying? CH has particular mannerisms and or behaviors, gestures, facial expressions, etc., etc. Usually, it's more of a hyped up energy. You can tell it's conniving. Anywho, so this older gentleman, or this older CH, was accompanied with a younger man, ranging between the ages of 20 and 30. And I could tell that the young man was newly addicted to the rock. Newly addicted to the rock. So the older gentleman is trying to teach him how to finagle and to hustle to get some resources to be able to cash in or exchange for more rock. And so because I'm aware of the guy, I know it's him, but you know, we all wearing these masks now. So he got on the Scully mask, but I still looking at the behavior, the spirit gyrating. So I know it's him. I'm looking at the young guy, and I'm just watching, and I'm just looking at him. You know, that mostly look like I'm looking through your soul. And I'm looking at the guy, I'm looking back at my friend who also is aware we ain't got to say nothing to each other. Now, mind you, my friend is, I don't know what nationality he is. He's from Yemen. So, we just watching. We ain't got to say nothing to each other. We already know the spirit. He been around. My friend been around in my community, or in Detroit for a long time. So we watching them, especially this young guy. But I'm staring at the young guy because my feelings is hurt for him. Like he was so something. The the devil is nickel slick, y'all. Y'all got to know this. You gotta learn the devil's tricks, his game, how he play. He is so real, and he then finagled, finessed, food, bamboozled this young man possibly out of his whole life. So now this young man is newly introduced to the rock in that world, and he's trying to learn how to get his hustle on. The actual devastation that happens to many people that participate in that lifestyle has not yet developed on him. You know, wounds, bruises, burns, and different things like that, just being totally dirty and things like that, and the spirit gyrating just out of control. It hasn't fully landed on him yet, or you know, hatched in him yet. Uh, and so I'm looking at the young man so hard. He getting more and more nervous because he know that, you know, me and my friend own him. And so finally, I couldn't take it no more. I'm to the point of tears now, watching this young man trying to keep his cool, but I can tell like he wants some more rock. I'm like, oh my God. So I just finally said, hey, we calling the police on y'all. Because like I told the older man, I said, I know who you are. We calling the police on you. And so they took off out the door. So I'm trying to calm down. Sometime later, me and my pal, we laughing, talking. Another person comes in. Now, mind you, this is about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, here comes a young 12 or 13-year-old young man. And he didn't look like he was high or on drugs or anything, but he was a bit dusty. I don't know if he had been managed and his parent put him out, or was he a runaway because maybe home was what do you call it, toxic. I don't know what the circumstance was, but he steps up to the window and he lets us know, me and my friend, he's like, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten. He said, can I please get a bag of chips? Now mind you, this young man ain't nothing but 12 or 13 years old. And me and my friend look at each other like, wow. He was like, I ain't ate. I'm so hungry. Can I please have a bag of chips? And so we was like, go ahead and get what you want, you know, get you a little something to drink, sandwich, and, you know, some chips or whatever. And so when a young man comes back, I'm telling y'all this because I'm telling you this is so crazy. He comes back up to the counter. They got the a little bag of chips that's two for $1. So he had one bag. And so I told him, I said, hey, go back and get another bag. They two for $1. You might as well. And he was like, man, yeah, I don't think you understand me. I don't have no money. He said, but I'm hungry. I ain't ate. I haven't been eating. I said, I understand what you're saying. Go back and you might as well get 2 for 1. And so he go back. Why was that disturbing? It was disturbing because it was a 12 or 13-year-old out at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning by themselves, clothes kind of dirty. Again, the young man didn't look drunk or high or anything. Some reason he was outside and wasn't being attended by supervision, an adult, a guardian, or something. Now, while all these CHs roaming around, it was hot last night. Okay. He leave. I'm upset. I'm telling my friend, I'm upset. I dealt with the older CH. If y'all just coming here, I'm using code. CH is crackhead. And for crack, because I'm talking about drugs in this one. And right now I'm talking about crack, so I'm using rock. Bottom line. This is a very negative video. It's low vibrational. Is rated RX or whatever. Parental adult audience only. But I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going to show you how they are working to drag you to hell, to drag your young adults to hell, to drag your kids to hell, to drag us to hell. I'm praying for us. So, some time passed. Y'all. I'm upset. Some time passed. This is about 6 o'clock in the morning. Me and my friend a little weary tonight that went through. We tired. We done laughed all we can laugh. Watched little videos on the little laptop while he at work and I'm visiting. And here comes a young lady. Young lady looks like she between 20 and 30. She come in and I just catch her out my peripheral vision, but I could hear the spirit. Well, I'll tell you about that spirit of the rock. It's a spirit that have them gyrate. And she had been recently high because she wasn't excited. They get excited like when they want more. But when they get it, they kind of mellow out. I don't know how to describe it. Anywho, so she comes in. She's recently partaken. So she's antsy, wanting more, but not like really freaking out because she ain't had some had it recently. She had it recently, so she's not freaking out, but she's antsy because she wants more. And so, and it's usually a cute little girl, cute young lady. And I could tell that wherever she came from, she was living a reasonable life because she had on a little quilted jacket, a 3-length jacket, kind of gold hue tone, her outfit, pants and everything, nice, blended in with a jacket. She had like a little like curly afro, but her face was skint to the white meat, and the scab it just started coming on here and there, and her lips, y'all, was burnt from doing what? Smoking on the stem. So she come in and she wants drug paraphernalia. Now, I have to say this, that CHs are very resourceful and I can't think of the word, innovative or something like that, because they can make some things work you wouldn't think work to do what they want to do, which is take drugs. If you're keeping up with me. And so she got this credit card. When she first comes in, she got this credit card. She goes to the ATM and like trying to get money out. Obviously, she ain't had no money on the card. It was maxed out. Whatever the case is, she couldn't get no money. So she come to the counter and she brings with her some, I think it's called char boil. I meant to look it up. And what it is what a Brillo pad is, or SOS pad. It's an SOS pad, but rather than it being silver with soap in it, no, it has no soap. and it's more fluffier, and it's like copper, or what do you call it, red gold, that kind of color. And that is part of the paraphernalia used to partake in the rock. And so she tells the my friend, the clerk, to give her something. She's gonna use it as a stem. She's being using ingenuity. So no, she didn't have any money, and so she started turning around other people in the gas station, asking if she has some money, 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 money. I mean, she's stepping up to everybody, like, she said, "Can I have some money? For some reason my card won't work." But I'm a lot more energetic than she was, you know. Can I have some money, a couple of dollars? My card doesn't work, and this is younger, and I'm like sitting there like this, y'all. Ride this way with me, if you will. I'm going somewhere with it. But I knew what I was seeing. I knew what I was seeing last year. The year before that, I knew what I was seeing. And I talked about it here on YouTube. So, anyway, one young man gives the young woman $2 or $3. And so she uses her ingenuity, and she purchases something that, after me and my friend sat down and was talking about it, she's going to use as a stem. And that's the pipe to partake in her choice of drug, which was the rock. But she also needed another item to help her do what she do, and it's the boy, what I'm telling you about. And so she was trying to buy, kept going back and forth to the ATM, back to the counter, and we like, oh my God, she needed this I forget what it's called, a char boy, but it's called something else. I'm gonna just say copper. And she couldn't get the money, and the older generation now witnessing this girl is like, no, I'm not gonna give you no. They hold their money back and away. Why? Because the older generation was here for the 80s, for the crack epidemic. They were here. They know what it's about. They knew that spirit on her, and they know what the people that suffer from that addiction, what they would do. It was a very, very, very sad sight. It was a very sad sight. Yes, indeed, Lord. And so the older people, hurried up, made their purchase and got out. The one young guy that's probably around her age gave her some money, gave her a couple of dollars. They about to start dropping me. So she leaves out. We tell her, hey, you can't stay in here. You can't, keep messing with the customers. You got to leave out. You can't just lauder here. You got to leave. You can't keep bugging people. So she leave. And then she come back in. And by then, my friend is getting off and the shift is changing. So the next person is there. So it's me, my friend from Yemen, him, and the next employee, she's there now. And well, she came in while all that was happening. And so when the girl came back in, hello, I don't know who you are. Oh God, Jesus. Comes in, she's like, the girl ain't even got no shoes on. I stay in Michigan. Right now, I think it's like 30 something degrees. So she was outside with no shoes on. She had on nice socks, but she ain't had no shoes on. She had been walking around like that the whole time she was coming in and out before the next employee came. So anyway, so we all standing there talking, and guess what happened, y'all? She came charging into the gas station, walked down the aisle. Now remember, my friend and the next employee switching shifts. I'm standing on the far side because he about to get ready to go, so I'm about to get ready to go. But so they switching shifts. So she come in and he holler and say, hey, she in here. She about to steal it. So the new employee that just came in hit the lock the door. We can say the custodian of the station, goes out to try to, stop her from going down the aisle to steal. And she came, so he meeting her at the door because he gonna block the door so she can't go out. Telling her to put it back. And she come up when she sees she can't get out the door, y'all. She turn around, make a U-turn, go back down to the aisle at the far end where all the housing products are. She yanks open the box of boy, the copper, pull out her stem, shove the copper, and now all of us hollering like, "Oh no, you can't do that! You gotta get out!" We all hollering like, "Oh no, no, no!" She stuffed it up in there, fired up right there in the gas station in front of all of us. She talking to herself, talking about how she talking about you can't have my baby. You can't have that's my baby. So obviously she had been already discovered by those in her intimate life, and she must have a child, and they have rescued the child from her, and she goes through what she's going through. That's what it seemed like based on what she was blurring out as she was partaking in going through that whole scenario. So we like, no, 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 she did not care. So the door's locked. The new new attendant that signed into work calls the police to come to the station to get her. I'm in Detroit. The police didn't come in a timely manner. She was smoking, 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 smoking. I'm like, y'all, we can't be up in here with this young girl doing this. I was like, oh, no, no, no. I said, yeah, we got to open the door, let her out. Anyway, she done got so high, she went from talking to herself and being upset and obsessively needing this char so she can get her smoke on to kind of dancing in the air. Then she was happy. She was high. She was happy. But we talking about a young girl. We talking about somebody. She said, when I asked, I said, how old are you? When the new lady asked, how old are you? And she was like, I'm 33. Like that, she was screaming. But she didn't even look like she was no 33. And the whole thing is she just newly has joined people that are addicted to the rock. Okay. Now, why did I share the stories about what I went through last night? It is because it was like all the evidence that I needed to confirm to me what I was suspecting had began to take place about 3 years ago. So what I'm going to do at this time, I hope it works. I hope it works. This is an Aquarius rant. So this really is my own intimate life and what I'm witnessing and what I have concerns about. Obviously, I'm an empath, I'm more empathic than I ever thought I was, because when I say I'm having chest pains, I'm upset, and that last little scenario played out at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's now about 10:30 in the morning. So what I'm about to do is I'm going over to my channel. Hopefully all works well. I don't know how it will go. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Hopefully what you're doing, you see me twice. I'm live up here, and below is an image of one of my videos. This is my channel. As mentioned, Can Angels Fly Tarot. I'm Nancy. So at this time, I'm going to go over some of the videos that I've created here on YouTube, in which I discuss the topic of drugs one way or another. And the reason that I'm doing so is because in each time I discussed drugs on my channel, I would tell anybody viewing, I say, hey y'all, heads up, I do believe the powers are planning to flood our communities with drugs once again. Last night was the last confirmation I needed to know this is true. Let me tell you some things that I have said here in the last year on YouTube relative to drugs. Well, I do recall when that unemployment stuff hit in 2020. I share here on YouTube that I went to a store called Dollar General or something where you buy cleaning products. And I talked about how when I was in there standing in line, there were two young men. They were in their 20s, early 30s. They were in the store, and all of a sudden, whatever they came to get, they were not successful in getting because their nerves were so bad. The urges and cravings were so strong on them that they just yelled out, and one of them at least yelled out in the store, and the other one concurred that I need some more Percocets. I'm like, what? Like, these were strong, able-bodied young men. They may have, and at that time I said they may have already, and most likely had already been sampling things like Percocets and ecstasy and different things like that, but it was a limit to them because their income was probably limited until what? Unemployment came. I talked about it. I talked about another time what else, some other stuff happened. Oh, I said, hey, y'all, I got up on here. I said, it's something going on here. I said, in my local community within the city of Detroit, when I go in and out of these gas stations and stuff, I'm seeing something that I saw when I was like 12. That's with that first wave of the rock. I told a story about when I was about 12, how me and my best friend used to walk to the gas station, come through the back way, and it was a glass backing, and how it was all these beautiful blown pieces of glass and these clips with long leather straps and feathers on them. Excuse me. And she and I would stand at the back of the gas station and say, oh, I'm gonna buy that when I get some money, I'm gonna buy that. Oh, I'm gonna buy this and that. We didn't know that we were selecting crack pipes, or rock pipes. And we were selecting weed feathers. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. We didn't know that. In the next few years, that's when the first wave of the rock hit and demolished, devastated the community. Devastated the community. Devastated. So people don't want to talk about these kind of things. I talked about it in detail on my channel, here and there, about the change in the family structure, about the instability, about the molestation that occurred, about the incarceration, reoccurring incarceration, and I say molestation, right? Yeah, of boys and girls, mostly men. Yeah. That's a delicate subject matter, so I won't touch on it. I also talked about all the red rums. You ever watch The Shining? I'm going to use the word one time, murder in reverse, is red rum. That, I got that from the movie Shining. Was Jack Nicholson, what's his name? Okay, so you know what red rum is. All of that. And the theft. The theft. The loss of people's prized possessions, precious possessions, things like gold and silver, coin collections, all those things, and many other things were stolen during that first wave of the rock. I contend that we're here in the second wave of what? The rock. But the rock ain't coming alone, coming with its own tribe. But we'll talk about it. Anywho, I get to talking so much that I forget what I'm going to say, but this is an Aquarius Rant. And I was saying some of the things that I've said here on YouTube to try to alert you all that something was coming. Oh, back to me and my friend selecting those drug paraphernalia. Hello, how are you? And finding out later on, a few years later, what it really was, and it was what? Drug paraphernalia. So I think it was last year. It was last year, the year before. I reported it here on YouTube. I said, hey, y'all, watch out. I'm seeing that same thing happen again. The exact same thing. What was I'm seeing? What have I been seeing? I'm seeing the reemergence of rock pipes in the gas stations, you know, and they're being displayed as blown glass, or what they call them, bongs. They aren't bongs. They're not bongs. Weed. I'm gonna talk about that weed too. I've been telling y'all about the weed. I told you about when the weed came, you know. I'm a let it go. I'm telling you, I'm about to tell you something today. We are definitely riding the wave today. We are up on the crescent, and we're going to stay on that crescent of that wave, of this wave, all the way through. However long this may be. I don't expect it to be long. So, yeah, I have seen glass pipes they used to call glass DICKs. And it was what? Rock paraphernalia. I'm seeing other, just all different, again, blown glass for the purpose of, uh, smoking rock. And I've also got a keen eye where I see these, I don't know what alternatives, things that can be used as an alternative method to, participate in the drug uses I've been talking about, meaning there are other things that have been created since I was 12 years old that are inconspicuous right under our noses, and we don't know it. It's back, y'all. It's back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some of the videos that I made. And I'm doing so for a reason. I'm going somewhere with it. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to try. Let's see if I can do it like this. Will it do it? I don't know, because I got it playing through this here. Okay. All right. It's working. I'm so happy that it's working. I hope it continues to work. Okay. Right here, as you see, I got my magnifying glass. We're on my channel, Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more. During this live stream, I really am focusing on drugs, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm focusing on drugs. I'm gonna show you how I know it's an agenda by the powers to drag us to hell, with a primary focus on our kids, our young people, and our young adults. If you just ride the wave with me today, you will know the truth. You will know the truth. Anyway, on my own personal channel, I have covered drugs because what? I kept seeing stuff, but I wasn't sure. But I thought I was, but I doubted myself. Why? Because I don't get validated. That validation, the devil, a bad mother sucker. Anywho, if you follow the magnifying glass, you see the magnifying glass is on my face. Top video. And it's called Dope Drugs. When I did this video, I was talking about drug usage, different types. And I talked about my own personal experience with drug usage, prescription drugs, for a very short, brief period of time. But I shared in this video how it depends on what drug you partake in, determines what realm you go into. And based on which realm you enter, also determines what spirits you encounter. Now, I've talked about me smoking marijuana, experiences I've had. I talked about me taking Oxycontin. I didn't know. I just talked about Oxycontin and all the stuff that was going on as far as the FDA or whatever it was after them around the time I was taking it. But I talk about my experience with Oxycontin and other drugs that I've taken down through the years for different medical problems or different things like that, and how I engage these spirits. Some spirits I had already met, and I contended in this particular video in which the what you call them is over, the magnifying glass is over, that uh you can get caught up in some of these realms with some of these entities, and they hold you hostage or as a slave, like does the rock. That rock ain't no joke. It has proven itself, and here it is again, along with other amphetamines and anything else you can name. Um, anyway, in this video, I also talked about this. This is something that I understand that the youth don't understand or know. It's like you can't tell them nothing. But try. You know, I remember when I took OxyContin, and I can understand how people were addicted to it. Again, I took it briefly because I had a hernia rupture and surgery. Yada yada yada. I talked about it in detail. But when I took the OxyContin, it shut down every pain receptor in my body, and I felt spectacular, absolutely spectacular. I remember for 27.5 minutes, I had optimal uh, perception, thought, comprehension. I can think clear. When I say that I know that human beings are far more intellectual than than we are in our current state, I know it to be true for multiple reasons. And one of the reasons is my experience on OxyContin. I was a bad mama jamma when I took that. 27.5 minutes. I said, oh, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. But I also know from that experience the negative effects that OxyContin has or had. I don't even know if it's still on the market. I know where the addiction comes in at. I talk about it in this video where the magnifying glass is off. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. I'm a long way from where I'm going, but I got to cover all this because I'm about to show you something. Wake up. We are in trouble. Wake up. I know that OxyContin, for example, is so addictive because when that OxyContin would wear off and my pain receptors came back online, that was one of the first times I ever knew gravity really existed. I'm not going into the nitpicking about is gravity, ain't gravity. Gravity exists because I could feel every single particle in my body individually coming back to life. They were all being pulled down into the ground. And after they kind of broke from the gravity, then they were jumping around. The particles within me were very, very angry. They wanted more OxyContin to relieve them. That's the honest to God truth. The honest to God truth. It is that pain, and it's painful. Could you imagine if you've never had any pain medication before, and so you've never had anything that, how can I say it? I put it like this. I'm gonna put it in other words. Normally, just a normal existence in our physical body, we can't per se feel gravity. We can't. We feel like it can't be measured or anything felt because it's the norm to us to drag through the world. We're really heavy, condensed entities or beings, physical beings here. We are dragging every day, whether we know it or not, picking up our feet. We can't feel it. But if you've ever been on a drug that deadens the the particles in your body or your pain receptors, and then you don't have it, and your particles or your pain receptors come back online, you can feel every single particle fighting against gravity to, allow you to be free and have free motion. Hopefully I made that make sense. So that's what was in that video. And so I talked about drugs from that concept of, understanding how one way addiction occurs. through, you know, the realization of gravity and pull and force, and how it's a very painful process. And I didn't have it really, really bad because I had only been on it a very short period of time for a medical reason, and it was done. So the next thing is, in that video, I talked about what? The spirits that a person is introduced to based on the drug that they take. And that there are spirits out here or entities in other dimensions that a person visits when they partake in drugs, that some of them spirits come back with you and other ones won't let you go. You're going to serve them to the last drop. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. But I got to do this. Okay, moving down the page, the next video here that I made is called, as you can see, it's called Normalizing the Nod Once Again. Hard drugs to be decriminalized. And so I'm going to read I'm on, oh, sorry. I'm on this one. I'm going to read my summary here. And then I'll kind of tell you what it was about. It might be included in the summary. It says, in this video, I will be commenting on Columbia professor Carl Hart's. Let me read it. In this video, I will be commenting on Columbia professor Carl Hart's argument for hard drugs to be decriminalized and about his belief for hard drugs to be legal to use recreationally. Now, in this video, I specifically responded to this emergence of this, what was it, Columbia professor named Carl Hart, I guess about 40-something, 50-something black male who's supposed to be a professor at Columbia. He comes out and say, hey, I take heroin. And I'm okay with taking heroin. I can do without it. And how he is promoting or campaigning for what? Hard drugs to be legalized. Yada, yada, yada. He was all BS, and that's what I talk about in this video, in which the magnifying glass is over, and I talk about what I know about heroin. I shared here on YouTube openly. My brother was a heroin addict, and heroin is not something that you can just use at will. No, heroin is another one of the most addictive drugs out here, and it has some very negative side effects. If you don't get it, what I talk about, the particles in your body, the pain receptors coming back and fighting against gravity, it hurts. I remember my brother talking about it. I hadn't even had the experience yet of feeling my pain receptors come online and the particles vibrating like you see them vibrating. That's how they can show you they vibrate, because they vibrate, and it hurts. That vibration of the particles or pain, you know, the particles that create the pain receptors, however look in the inside, vibrate, it hurts. And my brother used to say, it hurt, it hurt. That's all you can say, it hurt. And he would vomit real bad and have profuse diarrhea until he got his hit. Then he was cool. Might nod off a little bit, but then he was cool. I talk about how, you know, the different heroin addicts I knew in my life, the unscrupulous things that they did to acquire their dope, because they couldn't live without it. They felt like they were going to die. Why am I talking about the videos that I made? Number one, I want to spotlight some of the things, you know, that I've discussed, that I've heard propagated through, you know, media or from the world. And I know that our kids are hearing about it, you know. And how can I say, any type of drug, whether it's marijuana, cannabis, or whatever, any drug is being normalized and glamorized by basically the powers. They're behind it. We know the old saying, don't none of us have no crop of poppy seeds or nothing else. So we know that the powers are behind it. We know it. We cannot be foolish anymore. They're coming. They coming. They are here. They are after us. They are dragging us to hell. And I'm going to show you by the end of this live. Hopefully I can hold on and hold out. And so this whole video that the magnifying glass is over, I just talked about how that Mr. Hart look at YouTube starting with me again, you know, messing my videos up, that Mr. Hart um, was is an agent. That's common or a trending term used here on YouTube. He is an agent. He was placed to uh, you know, make what drug usage normalized and glamorized. He didn't tell the truth about it. He also talked about how he didn't do anything illegal to acquire his heroin, that he go where it was legal to use. He was a damn lie. Again, he came out with this during the pandemic, during shutdown. So that mother was shut down wherever his residence was or close to it, and therefore he wasn't traveling to, I don't know where it might be legal at, even though in that video, if you watch it, Normalization of the Nod, I talk about a location that they had put on the books. When I say books, I'm talking about legal books, the law, to literally decriminalize hard drugs. I can't remember if it was Colombia or what state it was, Colorado or something, like it might have been Colorado, that they had moved to decriminalize drugs. But either way, he wasn't jumping on no plane every day, excuse me, all day long to go run and get no heroin. So he was a liar. But when the kids listen to it, you know, going back up to this first video, the lies that kids and young adults have heard about drugs, they don't know that they gonna meet some spirits. They don't know that they gonna encounter spirits that's gonna motherfucking. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm I'm trying to stay calm. I'm really sorry. They don't know that they're gonna meet spirits that's gonna put them in a headlock, in full pledged bondage that can last their whole life, because they not told the truth. What they have are images of Little Wayne sipping on the scissors, the syrup. What's that stuff called? I can't think of it. Y'all know what I'm saying? Or how these different drugs like was ecstasy is pressed out in things that look like Flintstone tablets. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. They don't know. They've been lied to, and we're not telling them the truth. Not the mothers and fathers that lived through like the first wave of the because we only, let me stop. Let me calm down. I'm 50, 52. So I have a point of reference back to the 1980s and the drug epidemic. But there were drug epidemics prior to that. Let's see. I was trying to see real close. I mean, real close, real quick. If, okay. Gonna try that. Don't be no fool. Game. Recognize. Game. Okay. I know this heavy for early morning. I know it is. It needs to be talked about. This is real. We getting caught up. We didn't have this internet stuff when I was a kid. When I was a teen, it was just coming out. But anyway, it was just, oh, gosh, dang it. I don't want to go there. Oh, no. Okay, y'all. Please be patient with me. Dang. I'm up here trying to get this. Don't, no. Jesus Christ. And I can't go back. I knew this was going to happen. Sorry, something. Every time else, ain't that something? Let's see. Maybe I could just do it like this. Is it possible? Oh, maybe I can't. Hold on. Okay, y'all. I'm going to do something. Sorry for the commercial. Okay. Okay. Sorry for the commercial, YouTube. Didn't try to use it, just the way you got stuff set up. Anyway, what I end up doing here is now I'm on the video. Don't even click on nothing else. It seems like it ain't reading nothing but the video underneath. Anywho, I'm actually on this video that I created in 2018. It says March 7, 2018. And I just added this year in 2022. When I got some clues the other day. I got some clues the other day, y'all. So I came in, I was like, well, oh, I know what it was. I got to talk about biting and his safety kits with the crack pipes. When I heard that, I came into my content, found this video, and put in the front in 2022, don't be no fool. Because that was another clue. Okay, but I'm going to show you something today. So as you can see, the title of this video that I did in 2018 is now in 2022. Don't be no fool. Game, recognize game. Drugs suppress your consciousness. Let me tell you what I talk about in this video that I do believe was tampered with by you know who. But anyway, I digress from that. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I'm trying to speak up because I noticed that my volume is being real low, and no matter what I do, it's not going up. So, okay. Anywho, in this video, I talk about how it seemed to me that every decade a new drug has been introduced or glamorized, normalized to the public every 10 years at least. And I went all the way back to the 1940s. And every 10 years, there's been a drug. Whether as what's it, amphetamines, whatever it's called. We don't know about the rock, depending on what decade. Heroin, ecstasy. I can't think of the sipping on the syrup one. What's the name of the sipping on the syrup one? Lean. But I ain't talk about lean in this one. I don't think I talked about lean in this one. But I talked about every single drug that was highly popular every decade. Every decade. And I said, most recently, I referred to this video in another video. And I said, y'all, based on what I saw, I thought I saw was every decade. I said, it's time for them to do something else. It's time for them to do something else. I said, but I posed the question like, what can they do? By the end of this video, I was like, all the floodgates to all the drugs is opened up. What they gonna do now? I said, but you know what? They gonna do something keeping with their record. So I talked about that here. Oh, and the marijuana, which I know came in United States heavy by about 1992. I talk about it in this video, in my experiences, and my first time hitting a blunt. Yeah. Anywho, I'm really upset, y'all. I am so upset about what I witnessed last night. I've been witnessing it for a while, though. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. I know what I experienced. Anywho, also in this video, I talk about how the usage of drugs is introduced every decade, at least every decade, like clockwork, for the sole purpose of, suppressing the conscious of the people. Why every 10 years? Because every 10 years, a decade, the generations start to flip. That's the same thing that's happening now when it has to do with this crack rock reemergence. Not that crack rock ever really died out, but it's a reemergence. And at this point in time, I'm going to try to explain, which I tried to explain in this video that you're looking at. Remember, I'm 52. It was about 1983, 84 when a crack epidemic swept through the inner city of Detroit, or the inner cities throughout the United States. As a result of that epidemic, what did I say happened? A lot of homes were broken. There were a lot of deaths. There were a lot of red rums. There was a lot of prison and long stints of incarceration, reoccurring with incarceration, and a lot of molestation that has now led to, even though we don't want to talk about, a lot of homosexuality. Don't nobody want to look at the truth. They done tried to normalize that too. I don't care what you do, but know the truth behind everything. Know the truth. That way, folks can get over on you. Anywho, so that was 1984. Let's say was how many years ago? Let's see. Let's take 14 from how old I am now. About 38. About 38 years ago. 38 years ago. 38 years ago was in the heat of a period in which all of those toxic, deadly occurrences happening as a direct result of the rock. 38 years. In 38 years, there are a lot of parents and grandparents that died. In 38 years, there were a lot of babies born addicted to the rock or suffering some type of medical or health issue as a direct result of their parents using the rock. Over 38 years, therefore including a lot of generations or several generations, the grandparents, the parents, and the children, at least 3 generations, we could say 30 years, three decades. There was a lot of red rum, and there was also a lot of, I talk about it, Pluto and Scorpio children. The children that saw the real effects of poverty, hardship, difficulty, rejection, abandonment, abuse, molestation, incarceration, etc., etc. And I can rock for some time, listing off some things. Being laughed at for not having clothes and shoes, not having food to eat. Then the boom of the free lunch program to feed these kids. You know, kids being raised by their old grandparents that can barely fucking. I didn't make it, sorry. Couldn't barely sit up. These kids began, you know, these kids saw some things. A lot of these kids were sold off for that stuff or other stuff like it or similar to it. A lot of kids chose to sell those things in order to try to keep some money in the house. I'm from the hood. I know what happened. I made it through by the grace of something that's greater than me. Did not let me fall. Even though I was a later generation, I kind of fell somewhere in the middle, but I still was in danger because I was in my youth. I was a teen, early teen. Today, at 52, I cannot believe it. I'm still in danger. And I'm going to try to talk about why I'm still in danger. It is because that spirit, especially that when associated with a rock, with that rock, you ain't got to been and took the rock for the rock to talk to you. That spirit behind it will tell you, come dwell with it, come be with it. Find out what it really is about. That spirit know how to talk. Y'all better pay attention now. Y'all better pay attention. I'm going somewhere with this. I might be halfway there. I don't know. I'm about to partake in my vices. Don't smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes are bad for you. They're deadly. They lead to with COPD, cancer, and all that kind of stuff. I rebuke that. But this is what I do, so I'm going to do it. I'm so upset. This is an Aquarius rant. So, Scorpio and Pluto generation. That generation. That generation. Wounded. I talk about the wounded id and how the powers control and manipulate the people. We're talking about at least 3 generations of people. Well, this is what I'm trying to explain. Let me stop. That older generation, the majority of them dead. Either they died during the unfolding of the 38 years as a direct result of that drug, whether they took it and it gave them a heart attack, killed them, aneurysm, whatever, or they died of old age. They made it through, you know. You don't know when you're going to go. And then it's even the next generation. Now, when I say the older generation, I'm talking about people that was born like in the 30s and 40s. They were, some of them were on it. Some of them parents, the grandparents were on it. And going into the 50s, the parents of these Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio children born in the 50s and 60s, that was the primary generation that the powers spotlighted during that time period. But again, it wiped everybody. It wiped everybody. But it was a primary focus with them folks because they was in their late 20s, early 30s, between, let's say, 20 and 40. Wiped them out. Anyway, the majority of them grandparents and great-grandparents is dead, whether they were on drugs or not. That support was there. That influence is gone. Point of reference. The kids today don't have a point of reference. By the time that Pluto and Scorpio generation came along, they didn't have any elders to tell them, any elders to warn. The ones that exist now that were once, well, those that exist now that participated in that lifestyle at some point, basically want to act like it didn't exist. Most of the ones I know don't really talk about it. Because at this point in time in their life, finally, after 38 years, they got a little control. Some of them still, what they call it, dip a little bit here and there. But for the first time, after all the incarceration, all the bad choices, all those kind of choices that make a person feel bad about themselves, have low self-esteem, they finally got some control over themselves. So they're not, what I'm trying to get to is the old clientele for a particular drug, the rock, is what I'm talking about right now, then dwindled away. The clientele for the crack rock has dwindled away. Either they done died out or they done been on it so long, it ain't got the same impact upon them no more. So the rush ain't there like it used to be. Therefore, the money ain't there for the entrepreneur like it used to be. So what do you do with such a powerful drug as the rock? I've been trying to tell y'all. Don't nobody listening to me. Well, I'm sure you guessed by now. Well, the entrepreneur does what? Create more customers or custos. That's what they do. That's what's going on now. And I'm going to prove it to you that the powers is behind it. YouTube gonna get rid of this video. Because I'm about to tell the truth that people won't tell. Now, some of these Pluto, let me tell you how they started working on a Pluto and Scorpio generation. Still referring to this video that you see on the screen with me. Is that in the 90s, now based on my perspective and my life experience, I can't say it's 100% true, but from where I stood in life and in relationship to the streets or the street life, in about 1991, 92, it was said that the Jamaicans or the Rastafarians or whoever, they came in. I'm just talking from my perspective. Born and raised in Detroit. They came in, they bought this big supply of weed. And I talk about how it was about 1992 when I seen my first blunt. Hit my first blunt, threw me back in the wall. I broke the wall, had my body imprinted. I was like, oh, I can't fuck with this. Excuse me. Since that time, now weed of course existed before that time. Yeah, I had seen it. I had seen it in my, family members' house. Some of them wasn't frequent that I saw it. And they have a plate full of weed, but they had little papers called tops or something like that. And they roll up a little tiny joint and they puff one joint throughout the day. Put it out, put it out, put it out. and shared it between them and maybe their significant other. That's what I saw. And it was far and few. But in 1992, I want to say it was, when all this weed came in, and I hit that first, seen that first blunt, hit that first blunt. After that, it was a snowball effect. Now we know weed is smoked everywhere. It's legalized. They got the cannabis shops and medical marijuana and edibles and this and that. It's glamorized. It's popularized, and the kids are all on it. No matter what age they are, they all smoke it. The old people smoke it. The young people smoke it. The doctors, the lawyers, everybody. It comes from the earth. Smoke it. Have y'all ever thought about this? I forgot where I was about to go, but here's another thought. Have you ever thought about how nowadays people have concerns about our food and how our food is genetically modified? Right now, I want to help you turn your attention and focus on the modification of edible plant life, fruits, vegetables, primarily fruits. That we know that many fruits have been modified from their original form. Most recently, in the last decade or so, they modified them to they don't even produce seeds. Seedless watermelon, seedless grapes, seedless this and that. So if the labs can modify fruits not to yield seeds, what do you think they can do to cannabis? You don't think they can modify cannabis from its uh I guess it's metabolic uh chemistry? You don't think they can do that to make it much more addictive or mind altering? You don't think so? Oh, okay. I was just thinking that possibly. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because some of the use or the Pluto and Scorpio generation that seen what occurred to their parents and grandparents, or suffered some of the ills, like being left home alone, you know, being left susceptible to sexual, what do you call it, rape? I shouldn't use certain words, uh, to be sexually exploited and things like that. Some of these youths, just talking about some, grew up trying to chase their parents and bring their parents back home out of that scene. Of course, unsuccessful most of the time. So some of what I'm saying, trying to get to, is some of them know that that old drug called the rock is devastating. So the chances of them touching it was minimal. But again, some fell to the siren of the rock, because the rock got a spirit associated with it. And a part of that spirit is it has a siren spirit, meaning you don't have to partake in it. It'll call you. Okay? Even if you ain't never took it. Okay? I'm going somewhere with this. So the powers knew this. So they implemented another plan. And that plan was to do what? It was to get them hooked. But this time on something that will be promoted as healthy, as natural, as a reoccurring plant life that comes out of this, plane. Unmanipulated. It's okay. You can't get a hook to it. It's not going to do anything devastating like the rock. It's okay. Interesting. So interesting. And we all fell for it. Even I did. I have smoked marijuana. I've eaten edibles. Yes, I have. But when I did partake, it was very, very cautiously. Who knows? But even being cautious can cost you a lifetime. I'll say that. Anywho, so now we got this. We got a massive amount of people with a primary focus on the youth, the children, and the young adults partaking in cannabis, THC, whatever it's called, one way or another, thinking it's okay and it's cool, not knowing that our system is corrupt, not knowing that an entrepreneur is about making money, and not understanding that science has technologically advanced to the point that even plant life can be genetically modified to move from something that is seemingly unthreatening to something that is life changing. I am going somewhere with this. Just trying to talk about all of it because it all goes together. We are in trouble. I am praying for us that it is here. What is here? The next drug wave. Let's stop because I forgot what I was going to say. Now, I'm going to go back and I don't know. I will do this here because I feel like I had to be really careful. Okay. We're back on my channel and I'm attempting to pull up another video I did here on my channel. Is it not going to let me? I'll wait a minute to see if it catches up. Maybe this page has been idle so long it's no longer active. Let's see if I do it like that. Of course, YouTube. Oh, there it goes. Okay. If I take this, come on. Okay. All right. Come on. All right. Here we have, maybe if I keep it in this white part. Following the magnifying glass once again. Here's another video I did recently. It says about 3 months ago. And it's, as you can see, the title is Travis Scott Concert. Y'all remember Travis Scott Concert where all the youths were passing out, and they said he was passing out and dying from being, I guess, crushed or asphyxiation. Well, I talk about drugs in this video too as a as a means to what occurred. I don't know if I said that right. Anyway, this title of this video is called Travis Scott Concert, The Consciously Dead Dead Generation, Astral World Festival 2021 Tragedy. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Talking about this one every 10 years. That now we're talking about the Pluto and Scorpio generation and their addiction to marijuana or their dependency on marijuana, and how that too, even marijuana is a drug that suppresses your consciousness. I want to talk about suppressing your consciousness. Okay. Now, when smoking marijuana, you still, when I have smoked marijuana, I have been able to visit different realms. Fortunately for me, I never was laced or had anything else on the marijuana that I'm gonna pull back. No, because I suffered paranoia one time really bad from it. So that was something else. Thank God, addicted. Anywho, I visited different realms smoking marijuana. I can tell you I've been on cloud 99 and a half, and I didn't think I could come down. I've been smoked. I've been so high I couldn't move. I was stuck. You know, those kind of things. Enough is enough. Anyway, I know that as far as dealing with the serious matters of this world, that the use of marijuana can lead you not to be able to focus on the reality of this world. Um, you may be able to, like, I knew a lot of people that smoke so much, it was like they were smoking cigarettes and they still can go about their day. But it's still this level of awareness or presence one must have in order to be successful in this world and to master this world. And what I'm saying is that the chronic use of marijuana uh, limits or restricts many from being able to participate in this world effectively. And that's truly happening, to the point that many youths are so relaxed, we can say, and laid back, they can't see the urgency of the threats against them, uh the threats that are being not perpetuated, yeah, perpetuated against them by the powers. They can't even see it. Anything they hear, this is why anything that is said, they accept as truth, even though it's not. They're too relaxed. They're not searching. They're not looking. They're told that education is a lie. Don't y'all think? Come on now, y'all in some uh spectrum of our reality. Each of us are in some spectrum of our reality, and we know that education is not totally false. That is something that the powers have put out here, and people have ran with it, and I can prove that. We have doctors that save lives, surgeons, optometrists, um, I don't know, what do you call it? We got pediatricians, we got people that deal with cancer, and we got radiologists, you name it. We have lawyers, we have teachers, we do have some real life law enforcement. And my point is, they all were educated in their field of expertise, and it came from, and what, education. They got, with the knowledge that they got, the base knowledge base from some curriculum that they participated in. Some of our history, yes, has been distorted, whitewashed, and different things like that. But as far as learning to be a mechanic, you need training. You need to sit under somebody. You need to be someone's, what do they call it, intern or something like that. You know what I'm saying? To be a doctor, same thing. Would you just want anybody to perform surgery on you? No, you wouldn't. You would prefer that they've been to school 8+ years, etc., etc. So understand me when I say, look at what is occurring. They have the youth not believing in education at all. I hear that everywhere I go. I hear it all over YouTube, and it's absolute nonsense. They don't know anything about business. And what is education really? It is the accumulation of the of awareness that we've acquired over the history of humanity. It's everything we learned thus far that we get to go tapping in with. Somebody already did the research, somebody already did the lab work, somebody already took the notes, they didn't cross-reference, they didn't did this, they didn't build a vocabulary, a vocabulary, a glossary of terms that can be used in a particular area, so everybody on the same page, so ain't no fuck ups. Sorry, I get so excited. If y'all writing in the chat, I can partially see it, but in part I cannot. I'm trying to get this all out, because when I tell y'all I'm upset, I'm so upset. I am literally praying for us. Deliver us from evil. Oh, deliver us from evil. Oh, deliver us from evil. Oh, when I tell you what I say, deliver us from evil. I guess I should say it right here. Deliver us from evil. Let me go back a little bit. Deliver us from evil. And talk about that first wave of the rock epidemic, and how the core social group that was spotlighted during that time to be addicts may very well have been born in the 50s to 60s or something like that. They were between 20 and 30-ish. Well, they were descendants of their parents that were born during what? The 1930s to or 1920s to maybe we're gonna say early 40s, you know. And let's talk about those ancestors of theirs, the ones born between 1920 and early 1940s. It was a different time period. During that time period, there were social norms. When I talk about social norms, I'm talking about a man and a woman. Uh, it was some common courtesies out here. Yes, we dealt with racism and all that. Right now, I'm not dealing with that. But I'm just talking about if there were more established morals, established and standing morals and values. Like you didn't cuss in front of your parents and different things like that. You took care of your children. You worked with family. Different things like that. Just morals and values in place. So when those ancestors, those born between the 20s and the early 40s, you know, had their children born in the 50s and 60s, those children, those descendants, born during the periods of probably the 50s, you know, mid 50s to the 60s, had been influenced by those morals and values, those social morals and values and respect, limits, boundaries, etc., etc. They existed. So when that generation that was spotlighted by the rock epidemic in the 80s, the same people that were born what? During the 1950s, I don't want to lose y'all, to about, you know, the 1960s, they had morals and values. They did. Family unit was still in place, you know. Remember, that's the time period that the black community was busting out of institutionalized poverty and hardship. I always talk about the big three and the coming up and the breaking out, you know, that, you know, being the first generation that go off to college and, you know, become somebody, you know. And we got Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, all this civil rights, you know, breaking through, opening up opportunities, you know, all this stuff is taking place. They had hope. I mean, they had hope. They had morals. They had values. They had family unit, you know, and so on and so on. They had religion and faith. Then here comes the 1980s and the crack epidemic. Even though they had all of those positive gifts, that rock had them forsake it all. Had them forsake it all. I remember some of the people that I knew would come up missing because they were so embarrassed. They were so embarrassed that they had got caught up in that lifestyle. You know, they kept secrets, but they had the hardest time keeping a secret because that spirit gave them a signature that they couldn't fight against. 38 years down the line. Now here goes the reemergence of the next wave of the rock, and of course other drugs. And now, remember, we're dealing with the Pluto and Scorpio generation. Those that seen all those terroristic happenings. Death, red rum, absence of guardianship, parents, poverty, starvation, molestation, etc., etc. Nobody, there no religion, no faith, no hope. They didn't just kept a stiff upper lip. They know how to front well. They know how to front well. They know how to be gorgeous, you know. Hollywood would to show them how to be gorgeous and to keep some attractive fronts and be hustlers, entrepreneurs, manipulators, what do you call it, scammers, etc., etc. Now, an emergence of, or the decriminalization of hardcore drugs, what do you think that's going to look like in a system and in our world? The old generation, they battle with their addiction and them spirits, and most of them lost to it. Even though they had the restraints of religion, even though they had the restraints of hope, even though they had the restraints of morals and values, most of them lost. Most of them died. Or it took 38 years for them to get some grounding and some stability, which they might still be in a day. But now this younger generation, what you think about that? I think we in trouble, y'all. I think we need to pray. I think we need to pray. Let me bring you up to date. I just said it a couple of times. During this live stream, I'm going to show you that the powers are backing this up. One thing I've already shared with you, that they promoted that Columbia professor, Mr. Hart, Carl Hart, coming out and promoting the decriminalization of hard drugs. In that video, you can go find out exactly what states had already put it on the books. You already find out. Another thing that, excuse me, I talked about in that video, normalizing of, or normalizing whatever hard drugs, whatever the title is. Excuse me. Whew, I get so upset. Don't forget. Don't forget. Don't forget. Dang, I forgot. I'll come back to it, hopefully. The criminalization of hard drugs. What the children gonna look like. What's gonna happen? Because they there. A lot of them there and they ain't saying nothing. They ain't saying nothing. Oh, let me tell you a story. I told you this is going to be a very dark and negative lie. But sometimes we have to enter the dark in order to see the light. If you're willing, continue to ride the wave with me. I'm going somewhere with this. Let me tell you a story I heard about a week ago. It ain't been a week. There were two young men arguing back and forth about who had more money than the other. I assume they was talking about some, was that PPP loan money or some unemployment money they just stacked up and ain't spent responsibly, I'm sure. That's just me, presuming. Anyway, they arguing back and forth about who got the most money. And one of them say, I'm going to show you. I got more money than you. So he shuffles off and goes home and get his shoebox full of money. Flip the box open to the other brother and say, look, I told you I got more money than you. The other person looked up at him, took their gun, domed him right there, took the shoebox of money and left. What type of spirit do you think either of them possessed to be in that scenario? Next question. Relative to that scenario, what spirit do you think possessed the one that red rummed the other one. Ooh, we in trouble, y'all. We in trouble. Right now, I guess I'm pulling away from focusing on the drugs, and I just want to talk about the mentality of the younger generation. Somewhat of a spotlight on that Pluto and Scorpio generation, the one that saw the most treacherous acts, heinous acts, as children and young adults, as children and young adults, babies, children and young adults. It's not only that drugs have been normalized and glamorized to them through Hollywood, through music scene and things like that. The rappers, especially relative to the black community or people that enjoy rap, I'll say, with all the sports cars and the Benzes, the Mercedes, I don't know, the Hummers or whatever is out here, and the big chains and the gold fronts and fresh cuts and the big beards and you know and just kind of looking like money. Understand this, that generations prior to the Pluto and Scorpio generation failed them. How we failed them is that we did not teach them what real wealth is. We did not. And the reason why we didn't is because most of us didn't know what real wealth is. That young man that red rummed the other for the shoebox full of money did so for nothing. See how clever the devil is? Did so for nothing. Even if I had that person here and could tell them that, they couldn't hear me because they are mesmerized. We use our mesmerized. Maybe that's something I could talk about later. That young person red rummed the other young person for a shoebox full of money that ain't worth nothing. And the moment I could just see, when I heard that story, I could just see the market crash. The great market crash associated with the Great Depression of 1930s being replayed today as a joke because the devil's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. We could wake up tomorrow. I pray now. I rebuke this because every time I say something, it comes true. So I don't want to be the bringer into a rebuke it. Sentence into the pits of hell and fire of brimstone forever and ever. But this is a teacher moment. We could wake up tomorrow and the bottom been fell out from under the U.S.D. And that shoebox of money won't be nothing but toilet paper. And that young person got a tear on their face. Y'all know what a tear on the face means? They done red rum somebody for nothing. Wasn't real wealth. If you follow me here on Can Angels Fly Tarot, you know that real wealth is anything that sustains human life and allows us allows us to technologically advance in order to help facilitate our lives. Allows us to live a reasonable life and then eventually die off easy. That's what real wealth is. Medicine, things like that, food, lumber, water, things like that. Our youth don't know what real wealth is. They don't. Another thing that's plaguing our youth is they don't know what to do with their time. Their time. Historically, we spent every moment from the moment the sun went up, the rooster roosted, until the sun went down, obtaining what we needed to sustain our lives and those up under our care. Now, we ain't got nothing but free time. And with this free time, we are getting in trouble, or the youths are really getting in trouble. I can even say prior generations to these youths worked 30, 40, 50, 60 hours a week. We didn't get in as much trouble. But many of them, well, they've been taught that education is not real, it's a lie, that they don't need to work. Well, you might not need to work for the system, but even if you don't work for the system, you're going to get out here and cut a tree so you can build you a house. But that's a whole nother subject matter that I have covered before. And it seems like we're going to have to go into again because of what? The new paradigm that we're moving into. Anywho, I forgot what I was going to say because I get to rambling so and so and so much. Okay. This thing is over here acting a fool. Let's see if I can get to Travis Scott. Travis Scott concert. What is it called? The Consciously Dead Generation. I went back to the other one and talk about the Consciously Dead Generation. That marijuana too deadens the consciousness and does not allow a person to be alert or present in the moment to address the demands of life and of God, life of life, man, and of God, effectively. And so it has deadened the consciousness of the populace once again, or the consciousness of the populace has been deadened once again. And one of the ways of doing it is through what do you call it, large consumptions, massive use, what's the word, of anyway, cannabis. Now, back to the Travis Scott concert. What I talked about in this video is I responded to the happenings that occurred at the Travis Scott concert. And what I focused on was it wasn't just about it being overcrowded. That was the obvious. Something that was untold was about the drug use taking place amongst the youths. The children, the youths, the young adults. And in this video, I talked about sipping on the syrup, or was it lean, and how popular it has become due to being propagated by the powers through using famous people like Lil Wayne and Rick Ross or whoever else has been sipping on the syrup. You know what I'm saying? Known to sip on the syrup. I've seen in the last few years people get on the internet or be on the internet or some other social media and laughing at Lil Wayne and how bad he looks, but they never have taken it serious. I live in the intercity of Detroit. I see people, young folks, walking around with them cups and them red plastic cups every day, all day long. I see, because my friend at the gas station buying baby bottles so they can put their blend in and suck on the syrup all day long. And we missing it. I shared in this video talking about the consciously dead generation, about them sucking up on, what's a whippets, inhaling it or whatever they do, ingesting it, however they do, whippets to get high. So we got kids on rock, we got kids on I'm gonna tell you, my daughter told me when I got home, I called my kids 6 o'clock in the morning, waking them up, going crazy after what I experienced last night. Going crazy because I would not be no more good. I would have to commit some crimes to relieve them of their possession. So I'm going crazy. I call my kids and my daughter tells me this story. Story time. She tells me a story about something that I guess she's seen on social media, something that's going around, but I ain't quite sure. About somewhere, I guess not too far from Michigan. It may be in Michigan in another township. I'm not even sure. But if she said something about, and I'm going to have to call her later on, it was so early. I was like, get off the phone, crazy mama. But she was saying something about some young girls within the school or something, went to the school's bathroom lavatory and were smoking methamphetamines in school and recording it. And I guess they recorded it and showed it. And she was telling me about that. Understand, we're talking about high school kids. These kids, y'all. Now a lot of us have. Um, Again, we did 30 years plus on some stuff, and it ain't got the pull on us no more as it used to. You know, we done burnt ourselves out, but these kids is new to it. They are seriously a consciously dead generation. They're seriously a consciously dead generation that is of no threat to the powers. No threat at all. Nothing. Whatever we let go down during this time period in history of humanity will most likely stand for the next 100 years. Check that out. The next 100 years. And why do I say that? I say that because if this generation, this Pluto and Scorpio generation I'm talking about, is consciously dead, and they are no threat to the powers, they can't stop them. They don't know how to go to court. They don't know how to write up a court document. They don't know how to organize and protest. They are not always, they got their feet all over, their feet and head in this frame, meaning they ain't present. They ain't aware. They can't see nothing coming. They can't speak. No threat at all. Then they ain't got it. Y'all done heard me say it. If you follow me on my channel, they ain't got it to give to their children. And if they ain't giving it to their children can't give it to their children for the next 100 years. If we fail at the call today, humanity is plagued for at least 100 years. Y'all hear me? Anyway, back to this consciously dead generation. And they don't even know it. They have been, what's the word? Bedazzled. Bedazzled is the perfect word. Because I can see Beyonce in her hair. I can see, oh yeah. I can see Rick Ross. I can see Eminem. I can see them all. I can see, what's the little rodeo boy? Montel Jordan and the cowboy guy. He was Billy Ray Thornton. I can see them all. They have been bedazzled and mesmerized. Yeah. DMX talked openly about his drug dependency, his struggles with drugs. He died on up out of here. But it's not the drugs, the struggle, the breakdown his physical body. Not Whitney Houston. None of it. Not Bobby. Was a Bobby Brown. Whitney Houston. Nobody. Who else? Nobody. Belushi's. John Belushi and them. Elvis Presley. I hate to say it. Michael Jackson. Because they talking about what's this other stuff they really concerned about. What's that? Pulverall. What's the name of that stuff is? Oh God. I can't think of the name of it. But y'all know what I'm talking about. The stuff they so concerned about. The stuff they so concerned about. Let me stop. I'm going to go on. Consciously dead generation. They are no threat to the powers. If we do not move and be victorious, is Oregon? Yes. Thank you, April. I do think I remember reading Oregon. Right. It was December 10th, 2020. They have written up the laws to decriminalize hardcore drugs. And hold on, what I didn't say is here in Michigan, I reported when I did that Normalize the Not video with that Columbia professor, is that they rewrote laws here in Michigan. Drug laws here in Michigan. How many of us know that? Okay, let me tell you what I think I saw. It was a very advanced content. What am I talking about now? The laws that would have been rewritten or amended or written up for the state of Michigan in 2020 relative to the drugs. Now, I refer you back to the 80s. It was said, I didn't read it then, I wasn't down with this stuff then, I didn't have access to the internet, it was just coming out back then, you know, it wasn't even the internet, it was DOS. Anyway, back then, it said that they had written up the laws to say that powder coke brought or rendered less time, incarceration time, than did base coke. I'm saying it that way. Hopefully YouTube ain't paying attention. Base coke. You know. And as a direct result, people of color, with a primary focus on African Americans, were disproportionately incarcerated for longer periods of time. They suffered harder penalties, draconian type of penalties. Oh, don't let me forget Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Gotta go back there. Okay. So that was in. Now let's fast forward, 38 years later. And now they done rewrote some more laws. But this time the laws are wrote in a way that it includes the chemical composition of any given drug. When I say the chemical composition, I'm talking about the volume of whatever substance it takes to create a particular drug. And it's very specific down to the, I don't know, microgram or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a chemist, but down to the microgram. So it ain't just saying, okay, powder coke versus rock coke. It ain't just that, those big categories. It's down to the particle, down to the, again, the chemical composition of any given drug. That is to say, if somebody get caught with some drugs and is chemically tested, if it does not fit in the range as described by the law, then this person gets life. However, if a drug falls within a particular chemical composition, the perfect blend, then it is, what's the word? Presumed that it is pharmaceutical grade, I'll say. FDA approved, maybe. Might not be saying that right. Don't hold me to it. But it's something like this. And so it depends on the circumstances and situation in which that drug is present. Why is it there? That it might not even get no time. That it's actually in the hands of authority. Or if it say is not in the hands of an authority, and that perfect combination is a part of a scenario, then why is it there? Okay, if it is not an authority that has it, or it's not legitimate, but it's the perfect combination, then they might get 1 to 5 years or something like that. It's something like that. You can go look at it yourself. Look at the law, drug laws, amendment to drug laws in 2020 in the state of Michigan as an example. April offered the ones in Colorado, Oregon, and I also think it was in Colorado, 2020. While we was all locked in the house, that's what they were doing. Okay, so again, I bring up Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Why do I do that? Well, here in 2021, is it? Now Joe Biden wants to have these safe houses that people can go protecting their drug of choice. That's 1. And 2, he wants to offer safety kits that include crack pipes. Don't you think that's quite unusual? Why would they have such an interest now in drugs? Why aren't they creating programs to help people get off, to heal, or to reduce the spread of drugs? Why aren't they focusing that money on some of these borders in which the drugs have to be bought in from? Remember, a lot of our people are not educated now. And I ain't just talking about black people, I'm talking about people across the board. We are not educated enough to get the, matter of fact, we don't even have access to the resources, the natural resources needed to blend to make most of these drugs, period. So you want to, Joe Biden, create these safe houses, and you want to offer safety kits, okay? I got to go back. I got to go somewhere else. I don't even know if I'm through with, I'm going to move this over here for a reason. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm still going somewhere with this. This is ridiculous. It's too obvious. It's too in our face. We're not getting it. Why? I think we're under mass hypnosis. That's what I think. But okay, what's that going to do? Because I was getting so upset. Oh no. It might be. I don't know. That might be wrong. Okay, I'm going to go down here. See if it'll work. Do it. Please work. Why is it not working? Okay. All right. Don't you start. Moving the magnifying glass once again is hovering over this next video that I created here, and it's called Another Aquarius Rant. President-elect Biden and Kamala Harris yield to the gods. Oh, I got another Aquarius rant coming out, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all something about this place and what's going on. But right now, let's continue with the topic of drugs. Okay. In this video that I have the magnifying glass hovering over, I talked about who I knew would be elected as our next president. It was, I revealed in this video, I felt that Joe Biden would be our next president and Kamala Harris our vice president. I gave an explanation why. And I said, hey, y'all, we need to be concerned because the history, or the, what do you call, career history of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had to deal with heavy penalties upon the people for any type of infraction or anything like that, especially drugs. That's what they think. I knew it then based on the astrological energies and the different studies that I did then, that they had to be elected because our future, it is foretold that in our future, we will be under heavy draconian laws. Not just people of color, not just black people. People, the populace, humanity, with a primary focus on the United States. Here, as we talk about drugs and we talk about Biden, we talk about Kamala Harris. It is foretold in the stars that soon and very soon we will be under strict draconian laws. That is a harsh penalty for even the minorest infraction. So it don't matter what color you are, white, black, cream, yellow. If you don't do what they say do, they who the powers say do, at any given time, you will be punished extensively. So y'all cannot get it together by, what did my last live stream talk about, the astrological energy said, if y'all don't get it together by April, I think it was, they said start February 28th, we should be coming together or something like that. Not letting, we should be collectively in a pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. If you are not, then it is presumed by that which is greater than us that we have more interest in our racism, our biasness, etc., and therefore it keeps us on the current trajectory which we are, and that leads ultimately to technological slavery. Okay, but in between here and there, and including there, is harsh, draconian, being punished with harsh, draconian laws for all. That means if you continue to live from here until the near distant future, this means your children and this means your grandchildren will be susceptible to some of the cruelest laws ever known to man. I feel like everything across the border is propaganda now, including the, like I told y'all, the Joe Rogan, the Whoopi Goldberg, the Jewish community. All of it is propaganda. No matter how you turn it or twist it, it is when you look at the true details associated with all of this mess. But today, we're talking about drugs. Okay. Okay. So anyway, I said I was going to move to show y'all that the powers are over this attack on us. I was going to show you that the powers on attack, not only attack of us, they're on attack of our children, our young adults. Our children, what is it, kids, children, young adults. They're dragging us all to hell, and we can't see it. In this video right here, when I talk about the details associated with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris' career, and being able to predict that 100% that they would be elected and why they would be elected, their history let you know. All of this is a plan and a plot. How do we know? Because that's been their entire career, incarcerating people for drug usage, period. And whenever I do the next video, maybe I'll remember to talk about these two in relationship to what's really going on in this world and United States position or role in this play. In this play, because there's some gangster stuff going on here, y'all. It's some global gangster and intergalactic gangster stuff going on here. Let's see if I see another one, because I still have something else to say. I'm almost done. We ain't seen nothing yet. We ain't seen nothing yet. I'm praying for us. Oh. I'm sure I'm going to forget something. I know I'm going to forget something. I always forget something. There's some interesting people in my life. I don't think they're real. I never heard Viewer Life and VUM Today. Interesting. I can't get no views, but I can get some people that, what they call them, bots, or I don't know, people promoting their own channel, but views they will not let me get. So interesting. I was trying to think before I go. It was something else. I always forget. I get off here and lay down and then begin to recall. Time is here. The drugs, and because I didn't drive it home, it was something else. I was supposed to drive it home. I get so frantic. It's a docile government wants this. They want this. They are required. It's several things still required for the .gov to be successful in their manipulation or their dominance of the world. When I say .gov, I'm just not talking about the U.S.gov. I'm talking about the powers. It's still some steps that they have to take, and the steps that they have to take depend on the region, the country. That's why we see a lot of what is playing out going on. But one thing our .gov, the U.S.gov has to do is it has to suppress the current active populace. Our current populace is more educated than it has been in a long time, probably ever in history. What I'm saying is, when you look over history, it's never been a time that we have been taught in history that the masses have been as intelligent as they are. Now, mind you, the masses still are intellectually capped. The masses are dumbed down. But even out of that, there are some seriously intelligent people. I myself, I'm not too shabby. And I'm sure that some of you are not too shabby, intellectually. So right now is the time to take our power back from these malevolent powers. Because if we don't do it, if this time passes, we're going to be old, we're going to die out. They are in the midst of killing us and have been for years in different ways. You know, depending on your demographics, your culture. That's the whole thing about racism. Doesn't make sense to me. That y'all can't see that there's an increase in what, 1,000,000 ways to die, depending on your culture. White people have an alarming rate of deaths as a direct result of cancer. But y'all don't look at it like it's the powers imposing that upon you. Black community, they got the biggest smear campaign of all against people of color, black people. And how we are self-destructive and things like that when we've been what? Socially and psychologically engineered to be so. But even through all of that, we rise. We can rise because at this point in time, there are more educated people than I have ever heard of in the history of humanity. The masses now, we ain't talking about no select few. We ain't talking about no bloodline. We're talking about all of these universities that are open up all over the world, across the country, you know, focusing on the United States. All these educated people that's walked across the stages and all of the arts, engineering, business, etc., etc. And you gonna tell me that we can't make it happen? Something wrong. Something wrong. And we can't make it happen because of racism? Foolishness. Hey, how are you, Camille? Uh, you know, but if we let this pass again, look at the reality. And I know this is not everywhere. It just depends on your perspective. But when you look at the younger generation, you know, again, that Pluto and Scorpio generation, they're, again, they've been bamboozled, they are bedazzled, they are mesmerized. They are the generation that were brought up on these gaming systems, and they're highly preoccupied with the gaming system or the virtual world. Now, the virtual world is not helpful in the practical world. It's not. And not unless you're running some, what do they call it, schematics, or, you know, examples of what can be enacted or applied in the real world. If you just gonna deal in the imaginary world, it's nothing. It's nothing that it can do to help the real physical world. Period. Period. That's what's going on. And drugs is the next move to make sure to crush. The drugs are going to crush this next generation. The younger generation, going to crush them. They're making power. You should be mad. Youth, children, young adults, the parents of them, the grandparents of them that's in their right mind, got somewhat of an education, a little common sense, some mother plucking strength. You should be mad, pissed off at the powers that they're about to, they are destroying your kids. And even if they ain't got your kids in their grasp, they got one of their peers. Remember, peer pressure is stronger than parenthood. And I'm going to let y'all go on that. Until next time.